So what do you think caused the puncture?
I think it was that annoying woman outside the pub. Jesus, isn't the weather great?
Yeah, true. What have we got? 2 hours, 4 hours. I'm okay. It's not moving, so we're gonna have to feet off, I reckon.
Are you able to, if I pass these to you? It's heavy.
He's got a toe full. Oh.
Loch Corrib, which is the second largest sheet of inland freshwater in Ireland, is about 35 miles in length from Galway to Mam, and varies in breadth from 8 miles, as between Uachtarard and Cong, to 1/4 of a mile, as from the Wood of Dun to Corran Point. In depth, it varies considerably. It is in many parts full of rocky shoals, dry in summer, and even in the navigation course, having but 6 or 7 feet of water in some places. Between Mam and Doon, Loch Orbison or Loch Corrib Deep, sometimes ominous waters flow free from islands, except for the rock on which the ancient Hens castle of the O'Connors and the O'Flahertys stands. Castle of the Hen, as Castle Kirk is known, is considered to be the oldest fortress of its kind in Ireland. It is undoubtedly one of the best built. When first built and well defended, with good food stores, this castle must have been impregnable. The rock slopes abruptly into the water on all sides. It is only accessible in a few places. The castle is steeped in history and legend. One such mythical tradition suggests that the O'Flahertys, Gaelic lords of Connemara, realizing the difficulties of building a large castle in such a place, hired a witch to build it using magic. In a day and night of casting spells, she succeeded in creating the castle. She left a magic hen to look after it, with a warning that as long as the hen was looked after, the castle would remain secure. Everything went well until severe weather conditions made life difficult, and the inhabitants were forced to use up food stores, and as it was impossible to get to the mainland for fresh supplies, with empty bellies, they felt there was no other choice open to them but to eat the hen. Jane Wilde tells of the folklore associated with Hens Castle. In her work published in 1888, Speranza wrote the following: "Strange lights are sometimes seen flitting through it, and on some particular midnight a crowd of boats gather round it, filled with men dressed in green and red sashes, and they row about till the cock crows. When they suddenly vanish and the cries of children are heard in the air, that's when the people know that there has been a death somewhere in the region."
Oh, land ahoy! What's Alan think of it? Ooh, shit.
History states that in Elizabethan times there was a policy of divide and conquer, which was used effectively throughout the 16th century. It weakened Gaelic power, and the peace in Connacht was broken, as it meant the return to intertribal warfare. Each sept, attempting to take advantage of the situation. Granula's husband, Donal O'Cokie, Taoiseach elect to the chieftain, had much to lose as the fight for power erupted among the O'Flaherty septs. The old customs were under threat. Donal and Clodagh died at the hands of his old enemies, the Joyces, in an attack on Castle Kirk. On account of his courage in defending the castle, they nicknamed him Donal O'Cully the Cock. The Joyces descended on Cock's castle. They thought it would be a pushover. But they had not bargained on Granula, who, with her husband's clansmen, defended the castle with skill and bravery. So much so that the castle was renamed Hens Castle, the name it has to this day, Cashlawn na Kirk.
Yeah. Murder one. Are we going down the chute?
It is said that during the troubled reign of Queen Elizabeth, a lady of the O'Flahertys, who was an heiress and a widow with an only child, a daughter, that to preserve her property from the grasp of her own family and that of the de Burgos or Burkes, shut herself up with her child in the Hens Castle, attended by 20 faithful followers, of tried courage and devotion to her service. She felt it necessary to obtain the Queen's sanction to her proceedings, and accordingly she addressed a letter to Her Majesty, requesting her permission to arm her followers, and alleging as a reason for it the disaffected state of the country, and her ardent desire to preserve its peace for Her Majesty. The letter, after the fashion of the times, was not signed by the lady in her acquired matron's name, but in her maiden one, of which no doubt she was more proud. It was Bivian, or Bivinda O'Flaherty. The Queen received it graciously, but not being particularly well acquainted with the gender of Irish Christian names, and never suspecting from the style or matter of the epistle that it had emanated from one of her own sex, she returned an answer, written with her own hand, authorizing her good friend, Captain Bivian O'Flaherty, to retain 20 men at Her Majesty's expense, for the preservation of the peace of the country. And they were maintained accordingly, till the infant heiress, becoming adult, was united to Thomas Blake, the ancestor present Sir John Blake.
So why do they have spiral staircases in these castles? And why do they go to the left? Why does the spiral go off to the left?
Because the swordsmen were mostly right-handed, unless there's a name for the person who was able to use both hands.
So as you were defending up the stairs,
as you were defending
your right hand would be
stairs,
free and their left hand wouldn't be, or their right hand wouldn't be free.
Your right hand would be, because it's your castle, so your right hand, you'd be able to hold your hand in your sword on your right hand side as you're coming down defending it, and they would be coming up, they'd have to use their left. Bang, you get them. But it's not
This before. What's this?
The toilet.
Fuck off. It's the poo chute. Holy shit.
To those who are yet unacquainted with this picturesque part of the country, it may be necessary to observe that the singularly beautiful views on this day are unique. It is not often that the lake allows such a majestic traverse of itself. More often the squalls and wave frequency will create an unavoidable panic. We were lucky to have a window of opportunity to travel the 4 or so kilometers without the weather changing much. Having a picnic in the Hens Castle and researching what way knights fought when they defended such a castle with the use of the internet and stuff like that allows us to delve and kind of sit in a position of history, remembering those who have gone before us, remembering the great people who built and civilized the land, or placated roads, adjusted the camber of things. When we sit in a castle like Castle Kirk, you do get a feeling of the immense beauty that was around them. All the accounts are of wars and divide and conquer, but the people who came together to build these monuments of time, they worked together, and we mustn't forget that history seems to drop the ideas, or drop the memory of what was done. And this is a beautiful place to go. It's absolutely fantastic, breathtaking views.
O cold March winds, your cruel lament are hard on prisoners' hearts. For you bring my mother's pleading cry, from whom I've had to part. I hear her weeping lonely sobs, her sorrow sweeps me by, and in the dark prison cell, a tear has warmed my eye. O whistling winds, why do you weep, when roaming free you are? O lonely winds that walk the night, to haunt the sinner's soul. Pray pity me, a wretched lad, who never will grow old. Pray pity those who lie in pain, the bondsman and the slave. And whisper sweet the breath of God upon my humble grave. O cold March wind, that piercing dark, you cry in aged tones. For souls of folk you've brought to God, but still you bear the moans. O weeping winds, that lonely night, my mother's heart is sore.